Hi guys, so welcome to a horror vlog. This is just basically what I read through most of probably the end of April through all of May. Kind of in a reading slump here, but I hope you enjoy. I've had a couple good hits, a couple really not good hits this month, unfortunately, which is surprising because it's been a really good reading year for me. But I hope you enjoy, and yeah. No, I've made it a couple chapters in and just no. Not my thing. I get how this could be horror, but I don't know. So far, everything from this author has been like a really, really heavy topic, and like I just do not have the emotional energy to invest into that, because this one's about addiction and recovery, and although those are things I don't face, this is just too heavy for me right now, which is why I'm torn with this author, because okay, so I'm starting the Final Girl support group. I've had this sitting on my TBR shelf for forever. It's by Gary Hendrickson or Henderson, I never know how to say that. I've heard really, really good things about this. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires is good. I just finished chapter 7. I just started chapter 7. Just finished chapter 6. I can words of Final Girl support group. And once again, I'm impressed by his compelling writing. But also our main character is super paranoid. And all of these are supposedly slasher, like in this universe. Kind of in our universe too. This is also sort of a meta analysis of true crime culture that know her, but she's like super duper paranoid, like next level paranoid, and ends up completely freaking out. And then her therapist takes her to her house, and there are overtones here of it being a meta take on true crime culture and like how a lot of people view these stories that happen to real people as being entertainment and not stories that happen to real people. So there's that, and I'm assuming that's going to come more in here because at the end of every chapter, I'll show you the latest one, is like some sort of excerpt from something, sometimes possibly actual really published things, and sometimes not. Anyway, our main character has convinced herself that all the monsters are coming after them. Everybody is gonna get killed. There's always somebody lurking around. They've been stalking her for months. Like, it's very possible all that's happening, because again, I'm like very new into this because I'm only that far. But at the same time, it just comes off as paranoia. Like, she sounds completely paranoid right now. Like, it's good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good. It's well written, it's well paced. Gary Hendricks still has that whole like, it's still a little uncomfy reading the perspective of a woman written by a straight man. Stephen King does this too. And like, there's a way, like, he is less egregious. Like, trust me, he's much less egregious than Stephen King. Stephen King is exceptionally egregious, especially the way he talks about women's bodies. If you know, you know. But Gary Hendricks is much less. Okay, so I'm now on chapter 10. And honestly, the main character is starting to get to me. She is becoming grating to read her perspective, because she's just so paranoid. Anyway, apparently she's been writing a book. I'm not convinced that the other women haven't been writing a book too, and I'm still not convinced the doctor isn't involved in it. So I finished Final Girl support group. I'm gonna give this a 3.25. It is an interesting character study into the final girl archetype and slasher movies in general. I did get kind of bored during the middle, not gonna lie. She's not crazy, just like in the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. She's not crazy. There actually is somebody out to get her, and it's the doctor's older son and a girl who was involved in another slashing, even though they claim that the slashing had ended before and there was only so many of them in the Final Girl group, and just like all this, I don't know. There's a lot of unreliable narrator stuff going on here too. I mean, it's good, it's interesting, it's different. I will say it is different, but it's also very much what you would expect if this was a slasher movie. It's very much what you would expect from that. I will say, reading one of his right after you read a King is not the best, because Stephen King has like the white male perspective and he has the white male perspective, and it's very obvious. Although this has much less written by a white straight man vibes. So there's that. Like, much less written by a white straight man vibes. Which is good, because all of the main characters are women. But there's also points in here where I'm just kind of like, huh? Like, a woman wouldn't think that way, a woman wouldn't act that way, you know. I'm about, I don't know, 10% of the way through episode 13. And this is really interesting. So it's mixed media. I highly recommend the audiobook because it has a full cast, which is really, really nice. So like each character has their own narrator, which is really nice to have. But this is very, very interesting. It's very similar to Dracula in the way that it's written. So this is mixed media. So we have transcripts, journal entries, descriptions of home videos, internet logs, letters, recorded EVP sessions, which is what I'm in the middle of right now. Anything like that is in here, and it's like all jumbled together along with like equipment scans and stuff. So it's not like a general text of a novel. It's like much different. Wow, I'm very tired today. But it's good. It's just not what I was expecting walking into it. It's definitely a slow burn. It's definitely dragging right now, so that's not the best sign in the world. Okay. It's been several hours. I finished this. I gave it 4 stars. I'm sorry I didn't update you guys at all, but I just tore into it. It's very good. It's very different. I like it. It's very late, so I don't have any cohesive thoughts. But just know it's good. And I'm gonna go to bed now. This is, I was not expecting that level of violence. Like, I have just read 2 adult horror novels in the last couple of days, and this which is young adult technically, I think this is young adult technically, is more graphic in the like first 2 pages than those books were for chapters and chapters. Okay, so I finished Don't Go to Sleep. Oh boy. Okay. I now see why the Goodreads rating is so low. Sorry I didn't update you guys at all. Though, I'm gonna go ahead and give it 3 stars. The author made some choices that I'm not okay with. We have like an axe murderer. There's also like, or like just like an axe attacker. There's also this like weird supernatural element to it. It's like explained, but very Deus Machina-ish, and like not actually explained. It feels like the author wanted to have that in there without actually fully pulling it into the story. Like, it's there, but it's not there. And it's like a very, very violent book too. Like, we even start off the beginning, like the prologue itself is violent as hell. And like, it just feels like it's gratuitous. It doesn't feel like it's actually serving a purpose. Like, I'm not against like graphic images of horror in, I mean, graphic images of violence in novels and things if it serves a purpose. If it's just there for shock value, oftentimes it's just cheap. And that's what it feels like. Okay, so I finished Hex. Okay, this is hard to describe. Like, okay, first off, I'm giving it a 3.25. And it's gonna go back on my shelf. I'm probably gonna read it again at a later date. Just because it feels like one of those books you can go back to more than once and like get something different out of it, which I love. But like, okay, so basically there's this sort of pseudo curse with this witch who was killed in this town in the early part of the United States and the colony situation. And she was killed and her eyes and mouth were sewn shut and all this stuff, and she takes out vengeance on the town. But because of this situation, the town has decided to go Big Brother and track literally everybody in town to track her. And things don't go well when teenagers figure out that that's what's going on. And they are rightfully angry and upset with this whole thing. And because of her existence and somehow knowing her existence and knowing how she works ties you to the town. So kind of like being a secret keeper in Harry Potter, I think it like ties you to the town. So you can't leave, you can't escape, you can't get out. You are tied to this town once you are settled and you fully understand the secret. But she's also completely corporeal. Like, she's flesh and blood like we are, but she's also a spirit. So like, so there are parts that I really like and there are parts that I just thought were fine. And I think part of this is legitimately the fact that I've been reading white straight male authors way too much lately. Ignore this. I'm hanging out of Lee's house, but anyway, I am DNFing dead silent. I got about 50% of the way through, and just no. Like, it is creepy. It is spooky. It's the like idea of a ghost ship, but only in space. But I'm bored, which is sad because I want to like this, and I've been forcing myself for the last, 50 pages or so to like this. Great, I'm losing my voice. And I just don't, so I'm DNFing this and I'm gonna read something else that hopefully I will like. Hello, ignore this. My allergies are terrible and I'm currently stuck in the house because of cottonwoods. But anyway, I am currently on chapter 4, or the second day of this bad boy, which is just classic gothic horror. And I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I generally like her writing, but I don't know how I feel about this book specifically. Like, I discovered her at the beginning of this year and she's become an instant buy author for me, and I've been slowly working my way through her catalog ever since then, but still I don't know how I feel about this one in particular. Everything I've read so far, I've had one DNF, which I didn't like, but that was one of her historical horror fictions, and I just didn't like it. I don't know, I don't like historical fiction, apparently. Something I've learned about myself this year. All of her books, it is very obvious. I don't know if she's a British or a Canadian author, but it's very obvious that she's not an American author. Because there's always, like, not just like things like meters and like the metric system that's used. There are other things that, like, one of the books talks about how hard it is to find a firearm, and as an American that is just a mind-boggling concept, unfortunately, in many regards. But like, okay, so I finished Haunting at Gillespie House. What I didn't know when I got this was this is actually a short story collection. So we've got Bread and Breakfast, which does fit well in here, but in the author's note this one, which is Cross Light Out, which I also thought was really good. I'm giving the whole book a 4-star. I thought Crawl Space was a lot better, if I'm being honest. I thought that the like tone worked better. The Haunting at Gillespie House has like a weird written tone with it. It's hard to put a name on it. I think it might be one of her older books. But yeah, overall, I'm gonna give this 4 stars. I like her writing, I really do. I'm just not a huge short story novella person. Like, I want to get into it. Like, if you're gonna do short burn, I want it to be like this long. Done. But yeah, so 4 stars for this. And I'm gonna go get, I think that's probably gonna get for this vlog because I need to get this out. But the next one will be a whole stack of new books and I'm excited.